to Philosophical Entertainment, a podcast where if you're not philosophically entertained, our entertainment is only philosophical. I am Nirakara Vani, and today I'll be your host as we step into the final portion of our radiant conversation with Bracha Goetz, a woman whose light gently dissolves the walls we didn't even know we built. This episode is an invitation to return, not to where you were, but to who you are beneath all that time has taught you to pretend to be. And for that, I'm not going to ask something too spectacular, but I am going to ask something rare from you, that you listen with your child ears. Let your mind loosen its grip. Let your breath be simple. Let your heart open like it once did when all it took was a balloon or a butterfly to make you believe in miracles. So far, we've covered a lot. We've talked about addiction, not just as behavior, but as soul hunger. We've explored how trauma rewires the mind to prioritize survival over joy. We've reflected on how gratitude can reawaken the color in our world, and how small acts like noticing the sweetness of an orange can restore the very fabric of our connection to life. But what if I told you this return to wholeness isn't about adding anything new? It's about subtracting what never belonged to begin with. There's a parable, a quiet little truth about the sun and the wind. They saw a man walking down a country road, wrapped in a jacket. The wind challenged the sun and said, "I bet I can make him remove that coat faster than you." And so the wind blew with force, ferociously whipping around the man. But the harder it blew, the tighter the man clung to his coat. Then the sun took its turn. It didn't shout, it didn't push, it simply radiated warmth. And under that warmth, the man relaxed and let the coat fall away. This is how truth works, not through coercion, but through presence, not through pressure, but through love. Modern neuroscience tells us that the brain is not fixed. It's plastic. It reshapes itself through repetition, emotion, and attention. Children live in a state of neuroplastic openness. Their minds aren't cluttered by justification or judgment. They simply receive joy, wonder, curiosity. These are not childish. They are biologically optimized states for healing. So why do we abandon them as we grow older? Here's a paradox worth sitting with. True reasoning, the kind that liberates us from suffering, requires the humility only a child can model. The philosopher Blaise Pascal once said, "The heart has its reasons, which reason knows nothing of." And if that's true, then the childlike mind is not a lack of logic, but a deeper kind. One that trusts, one that feels, one that remembers how to be. Even Jesus said, "Unless you become like little children, you will never enter into the kingdom of heaven." This was not metaphor. It was a psychological and spiritual instruction. The kingdom is not a place, it's a presence. And presence is the native state of the child mind. The Bhagavad Gita echoes this. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendential knowledge. One who has achieved this enjoys the self within. In Taoism, the Tao Te Ching says, "The wise are like children, soft, flexible, and yielding, because it is the hardened that break. It is the rigid that suffer, but water gentle, flowing, unafraid, carves canyons. Let's pause and reframe. We're not calling for childishness, like immaturity, escapism, avoidance. We're calling for childlikeness, authenticity, curiosity, spontaneity, presence. To see clearly does not require seeing everything. It requires seeing one thing fully, that one tree, that one orange, that one breath. So as we begin this episode, let your heart take the lead. Let your inner child sit in the front row. Let them ask silly questions and laugh for no reason. Let them cry if they need to. Let them play with what you hear today. Because if heaven is a state of consciousness, then the child in you, the one who never stopped loving, is holding the key. This conversation with Bracha Goetz is not a conclusion. It's a beginning. It's an invitation to remember who you are by remembering how to feel. So breathe, smile softly, and let the child in you come out to listen. Let's dive in.
I remember like the lowest point of my life. I remember that I looked out and saw a tree outside the window, and it was like, there is still something beautiful in the world. Just keep looking at that tree. Like when everything else was gone, I felt there is still beauty in the world. Just keep focusing on that. That's the way I try to speak to people, because there's a story like that. There's a story, a man is on a roof and he's ready to jump. And this lady sees him across the way and she says, "Please don't jump." And he says, "Why not? My life is full of pain. I have so many problems." And she says, "Well, what if in addition to all your problems, what if you were also blind? And what if right now you were given the gift of sight? Would you still jump?" And he
Oh
says,
man.
"No, no, I'd want to see the world." And she says, "Okay, you had blindness. Open your eyes now. There are still some beautiful things in your life. Your hands are working. Your legs got you up to this roof. You're breathing. You can see. You can hear. Just focus. Open your eyes to see what is good in your life right this very moment." And that's all of us, every single one of us. We're all blind. We all could open our eyes more and see more and appreciate more of the many, many things we take for granted right this moment.
When we have those moments, it's emotionally driven, but emotions oftentimes are generated through a chemical response to stimuli. And when we have a connected relationship with somebody that ends suddenly, it then
Yes.
becomes apparent how much
Yeah.
chemistry was released inside
Yeah.
of you in response to
Yeah.
their presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you've never done drugs and then had to come off of them, and then somebody dumps you, well, then there you go. You've been doing drugs and you've got to
Yeah.
come down off of that love drug. And when you
Yeah.
don't have those
Yeah.
steady, consistent doses of whatever it
Yeah.
was that they released in you, suddenly you're jonesing
Yeah.
for it. And
Yeah.
many people don't understand that their depression is caused from, and that you're actually recovering from an addiction of some kind. And
Right.
a lot of us confuse our emotions because they come from our heart center. We confuse because we've lost the relationship with how we emote and why we do, that if we're emoting such miserable things, right, then this must be true. And I think that there's some, in the maturation process, there's some emotional intelligence that has to be applied to asking yourself, why am I feeling this? And when we do that, we start to fall out of the emotion and we have to distance ourselves from the thing to analyze it. In the same way, a thing can't define itself, it has to be defined by an outside source. So if we're going to start analyzing our emotions, we have to remove ourselves from them and look at them from a distance. So then, if we're saying, I am experiencing anger, then we've modified the relationship with it. But if we say, I am
Right.
angry, because I am is the
Right.
highest command we can give our body. Because if we say, I am, anything that comes after that, the body's going to want to be that for you. And if we say, I am angry, I am rich, I am poor, I am homeless, I am, what are you? And when you start trying to tell yourself what you are, that's the first seed you plant. And whatever comes after that, you're just covering it with dirt and watering it. And when we do this sort of game on ourselves, where we identify with the emotion instead of studying it, suddenly the body feels it has to become that emotion. And if you are despair, then your body is going to act out the performance of despair, and you're going to find yourself on the edge of that building. And it's hard when you're jonesing for the chemical and she passed away, or she dumped you, or your sister dies, and if you can't identify, and this is why they say get help, like get professional help, because then that person is removed enough from the emotion to help you define it. So if you can find a layer abstract enough from the condition you're in, then you can conquer it. And that's where, in that moment, don't try to handle it yourself. If you can't perform the surgery on yourself, find somebody who can. And in the sort of despair cycle, that voice that you hear kind of synchronizes with this heart emoting, and it starts to create, I guess it wants to solve the problem. Like if you started to feel hungry, there's a part of you that goes, okay, you're hungry, what's the solution? And it starts putting recipes together, it starts trying to get you to food. And there is a problem solving part of us that kind of kicks in automatically, and I think it's a driver to suicide. Because if you feel this way, then what's the solution? If it is this miserable, then what do we do about it? And the do about it part of it is going to be coming out of the seed that was planted, that I am miserable. Well, if I am miserable, and if life is all of these things, then what is the solution? So the solution can't fall outside the vision of the attachment. So it will, the diminishing returns of it, the diminishing nature of it, is a direction that you have to go. And in the same way, plants grow in a direction, and you plant a seed and it grows after its own kind. They get caught in a suicide spiral where they start disconnecting relationships from other people, removing themselves from attachments to this world, giving away personal belongings. Um, and they fall into very classifiable stages of suicide. And I'm not saying that children are this way, right? A lot of children aren't seeing life through the nihilistic view. But if, I guess, being in the work of doing the 911 stuff and everything, the suicide numbers are going up in America, and it's reaching younger people, and it's harder and harder to reason with somebody when they call 911 when they're younger, because you don't have as many educational frames of reference to pull from to get them to understand that they're just seeing things through a certain lens right now, but that this isn't what everything is. And so I guess if you could get ahead of that wave, what kind of seeds could we plant in children that could encourage them to, because suicide's so taboo, right? And so if you're feeling it, many people don't understand it, and so they demonize it. So people who commit suicide are murderers, and says the taboo. And so then if you're experiencing the feelings, you feel like a murderer. How can we get ahead of it with children and share with them that if you're feeling feelings like that, that there are healthy ways to share it with others? Or what would that message sound like coming from you?
The the whole idea of like depression, addictions, as you explained, it's all a self-centeredness. You feel alienated, you feel separated, you feel disconnected from everybody, from everything. It's an intense loneliness. And what a person needs is connection. That is what brings us back. And what I explain about, this is actually on my website, it's called the pleasure ladder. This is how you experience heaven on earth. You, the lowest level of pleasure, which children can understand right away, it's all the basic, the five levels on the pleasure ladder, they correspond to our five fingers because we have the power in our hands to bring happiness into our lives at every moment. And the five levels correspond to the five levels of the human soul. It's universal. The lowest level of the soul is the part that's connected to the body. So all the sensual pleasures are like eating a healthy food, spending time in nature, exercising, running, swimming, yoga, gardening, dancing, music. These are things that can bring you out of your alienation, your estrangement, and bring connection into your life. This can happen even for a child. This is soothing at any level because it's universal. So we begin with the lowest level of bringing, like I'm saying, open your eyes, recognize how amazing it is, recognize all the illnesses you don't have this minute, the parts of your body that are working, experience an amazing orange. It's like all the juiciness that's kept inside of this peel for months just for you. The orange you are eating was designed for you to experience with love. It's packed with infinite wisdom and infinite love, individually packaged with the juiciness kept in. The color only becomes bright and beautiful when it's ripe and ready for you. It smells beautiful. All your senses are involved. And then you're left with the seeds of eternity, which become infinite trees, infinite more oranges. It's unbelievable, all the intelligence and love that's packed in here. When you begin to see that the world is filled with this loving kindness for you, changes your whole world. So you begin with a tree, like you attach yourself, you reconnect to the tree, you reconnect to something, some wonderful natural gift that was put into this world for you. And that's how you begin to reconnect with the smallest steps, with one orange, with one song that you love, whatever it is that gets you to reconnect, because it's that disconnection that makes you just want to leave. So I don't know if you want to hear the other levels
I
on the
do.
pleasure ladder.
I want to hear
Okay.
all of them.
The next level up is love. Now, love doesn't sound empowering. It seems to be dependent on somebody else. But again, in solitary confinement or in an addiction of a prison of an addiction, you can bring love into your life by focusing on the ancient mystical definition is, what do you appreciate? What do you value about someone else? That's love. You can bring that love into your life at any moment without anybody being with you. Nobody else is present. Let's say you're in prison and you start thinking about a grandmother that once did a kindness for you, and you are inspired with this warm emotional feeling to be better. You can bring love into your life at any. Each level up the pleasure ladder brings more connection and more lasting pleasure. The middle level is the level of meaning, doing something good and meaningful, like what you're doing in your life, to help others. When we help others shine, our souls shine. That's the fuel that gets us going, doing something good and meaningful. I was on a show and I was talking about this, and the host said he was feeling completely lonely and miserable, and he had a pizza pie. He had two slices, and he's about to plow through the whole box by himself. And there's a knock on the door. His neighbor needs his help to like move some furniture, something. He comes back in 2 minutes later. He suddenly doesn't need the pizza anymore. What happened? He changed. He puts the rest of the pizza in the fridge for another day. He just felt grateful he could help somebody. He had that connection. Each level up is gratitude. Grateful for the natural things in the world, then grateful for another being. What do you appreciate about? Then grateful that you can give back to the world. And then, like we were talking about earlier, the next to the highest level is creativity. When you're in that zone of creativity, you are beyond time. Time, you're not aware of time passing. You don't feel like eating. You don't feel like sleeping. It's such a high where you're in that flow state, like you were saying. And the highest level is the level you love the most. That's it. Transcendence. That is seeing the unity, seeing that we're all connected, all the religions, everybody, every vegetation, it gives to us, we give to it, everything in the world, we are all connected with the same source energy running through all of us. And that's it. There's only one price to pay to climb the pleasure ladder, and that's gratitude. It's the ultimate gratitude. It's seeing the connection. This is how we can help children from the earliest levels on, getting them to feel that gratitude, not in a way like you have to be grateful. Let it flow right from you. Experience that flow of natural joy coming from you when you're experiencing any of these things. I tell people you print it out. It's a free download of the chart. You just put it on your fridge or your cupboard, and you always remember that when you feel like overeating or engaging in a different addiction, it's just that you want lasting pleasure. It's not that you want to finish the whole container of ice cream, because when you finish it, you're emptier than you were before. No, what you want is lasting pleasure. And the only thing that could bring that to a person is gratitude.
Ah, it's so perfect. I love everything about it. Well, you were saying something about time too.
Yeah.
And time is it's an interesting concept because like my dog, she doesn't understand time.
Yeah.
She is forever in this moment, just right now. She's in the
Yes.
forever now.
Yes.
And when we remember something traumatic, the body doesn't understand time either because the body's just right just
Right.
now. And so when we
Yes.
remember something traumatic, the body experiences it as though it's
Yep.
happening.
Yep.
And so we torture ourselves by reliving certain
Yeah.
emotions. And at the same
Yeah.
time, this is a kind of an interesting thing that the body does too, and the brain. Oftentimes, we didn't even remember the trauma properly.
Right. Right.
And the feeling is so devastating that we attribute terms to the experience in our minds sometimes that a bit embellish it to further validate
Yeah.
the experience.
Yeah.
So as
Right.
we grow older, the tool of anger that we once had toward our mother for forgetting us on our birthday, we have to almost keep um, in inflaming it, making the scene even
Yes.
worse over time. So
Yes.
so as we relive a memory, first of all, we're reliving it false, and we've kind of hammed it up a bit um, to coincide with the feelings that we have, the big feelings, right? Because
Yes.
we don't want
Yes.
to diminish the feeling, right? We don't want
Right.
to be disrespectful to it. So we want to
Right.
give it its proper attention and reverence and whatnot. But in that, we're also damaging ourselves. because we're remembering it worse than it really was. So
Uh-huh.
we're
Uh-huh.
forcing ourselves to experience a trauma that never really happened, um, in order to validate our feelings of hurt over what had
Right.
happened. So it's almost like we spend more time on the trauma than we do if
Yeah.
we would have just healed from it and moved
Hmm.
on.
Right.
And I think there's um, an understanding of time that we have, which plays against us in a way like a Chinese finger trap does, where it feels counterintuitive to push into the darn thing to get out of it. And to get out of our feelings, sometimes we have to fall into them and
Right. Mm-hmm.
experience them once
Mm-hmm.
and then let it go. In the
Uh-huh.
same way my dog was, she will not lament that she ate that loaf of bread last year. She got up on the counter and she ate a loaf of bread and she's so naughty. Because I bake sourdough bread at home and and she likes it. Anyway, but she won't beat herself up that she did something naughty, and I don't think
Right.
she should either. And
Mm-hmm.
that seems simple as an idea, but I
Mm-hmm.
struggle in framing that to adults because I
Uh-huh.
think they take me to be somebody who then isn't reverent toward their feelings.
I learned from there's a very famous psychologist, Tara Brach, and I love how she frames it as rain. Recognize the negative feeling, allow it, accept it. That's the A. I investigate it, look into it, like what was it like? Really explore it with curiosity. And then you get to nourish. Then nourish yourself. Don't just stay there. Okay, you've explored it, you have these feelings, but you also got to nourish yourself. You got to bring more gratitude into your life. I've interviewed therapists, and because originally I wanted to be a psychiatrist, so that's what I interview people. I said, how many of your patients, of your clients, now they're called clients, would be helped just by really training them in developing their gratitude muscles? And what they say is almost all of them. There's some that would get stuck, but the vast percentage, just by teaching them gratitude exercises, teaching them to keep training themselves to scan for positive patterns. Once they're not stuffing their feelings down, they're recognizing their feelings, they're allowing, they're accepting, they're investigating, but then start nourishing your soul, your hungry soul, which is fill it with gratitude, pour in the joy. Really fill up on that. That's the fuel that you need.
Are there studies that you're aware of that talk about, so when you talk about the orange, right, and you discuss, it's like the way you frame things in it reminds me of how Alan Watts described Nugent, the concept of it's like magic. It's like when a flock of ducks flies into a cloud, where did they go? And science wants to know where every molecule went. But then there's a part of you, some of us don't need that. Some of us can just look at them fade away into the fog and just appreciate that, the beauty of it. Some of us can hold the orange and just feel almost feelings of magic that, wow, how did this get made? It's magic. It's beautiful how this is. And then others of us want to cut it open and dissect it and learn what every molecule replenishes in the body and whatnot. What acidic properties are beneficial and all of that. But the majority of us, the child in us, doesn't need to know all of that stuff. And so there's a balance between seeing the beauty in something, which I think when you get to meditation and you fall into the creative flow states, there's a part of you that realizes how much you don't actually need to know to do what the universe needs for you to do. And so with children, they don't need to know how the orange works, but a lot of adults are here are listening. And how do we tell the adult mind? And I think when you want to know more specifics, it's almost as if your gratitude muscles are so weak that in order for you to trust that it's good, you have to have more data. And because as you feel more and more gratitude, you don't need to retain and attach yourself to all of the information of the orange. You just
Hmm.
appreciate it. And
Right.
so there's a kind of letting go. And like when I became a yoga instructor and I'm meditating more and thinking more without words, I'm realizing how talking in words is very useless. um,
Hmm. Hmm.
so to take a very detailed, articulate adult who has very weak gratitude muscles, how do you share with them to see the orange from that place of magic that a child does where they can get a banana for their birthday and they're so happy and they'll just play with the box that it came in for
Right.
hours. How do
Right.
you get the adult to let go of what the stuff is made of and just be grateful that you're eating it?
Yeah. I call it beyond magic. It's so, life itself is so beyond. We have this belief. You were talking about confession before. We have this belief, like when you do something wrong, there's a process called tshuva, which is returning, which means that when you recognize what you've done wrong and you try to repair that, you don't just go back to where you were before you made the mistake. You go to an even better place. It's like it's beyond magic. That's what happens as we transform ourselves. We transform ourselves, I'm not sure if that was clear, but it's an amazing thing when you realize it. You turn what you did wrong in the past into something amazingly wonderful. It doesn't just become neutral. Like what you've done in the past that's wrong, you are now transforming it into something amazing as you help other people with it. So it's what when a person is not used to being grateful, when you start to and you're feeling cynical and you start to practice gratitude, it feels like when you drive in a car on a road that has never been driven on before and it's gravelly and it's very hard to drive this thing like a Jeep over a terrain, and it's really hard and bumpy and it feels weird and awkward and just crazy. And but once you've created those grooves in the road, you keep going back there, it's easier and easier. So the first time you feel silly and ridiculous being grateful for something like an orange, but after you've tried it, like you get someone to try a new yoga pose, you know, you just get person to just do it. Use your muscles. It becomes what it's called memory muscles, like you do it and it creates a change in you. And what had they say the neurons that fire together wire together. And the more neural pathways we create of gratitude as we get those grooves going, we're creating gratitude brains. More and more of our brains are filling up with gratitude pathways. So it becomes easier and easier to be grateful the more we practice it. Just start with little things, what you enjoy and start feeling grateful for it. And and then you're just not taking all the things in life that you took for granted. It changes you completely.
As you have fallen into flow and you experience the messages of the books, have you experienced a change or a shift in the message over time?
Yeah, I guess so. Like I said, I couldn't even come up with the ending to this book. It had like a scary feel to it with this voice in your head, overpowering the voice. I didn't have the life wisdom to see the ending of the book, which I could finally come to now. In that even that voice is helpful. That's what I didn't get. It was like this evil kind of voice in your, no, this is not a book for children. No. Then I finally got it. You know, this book, even that voice, it's really your friend. It just puts on these costumes to act like I'm a little meanie over here. No, it's really also coming from source. It also loves you. It knows exactly who you are. It knows what costume to put on to get you to push and work harder and try to reach that state of gratitude, that state of really living here in bliss. You know, there was source. Source was everything. What was missing from source was everything. Only thing that could be missing was relationship because source was everything. So source had to create an illusion of backing up, of retracting itself. It's called in Hebrew tzimtzum. A retraction takes place, and then there's room for other. That's us. We are other. Everything here, it's all other. And we were created just to experience this world in love, just to feel the joy. Source wanted to give to us in order to have a relationship. Now everything was really everything because it could also have relationship. And now all we have is one job to do. Experience it with joyful gratitude.
Yeah, that's it all. That's all of it right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Because it's like anything else that comes after that is just, I don't know, icing extra. It's just icing on the cake. That's really true. And it's
Yeah.
the, when I was, when I had my experience, I didn't realize the game of duality. But just as we don't know it, just because we don't know something doesn't mean that there's no answer that exists. What it means is when you don't know, it means that you're the inverse of knowing.
Yeah.
And so when Source knows all things, it has to create illusion because
Yes.
then it can experience what not knowing is like as well. So
Nice.
the illusion of it is a game for it to experience all things because it would never hurt itself. So it has to play the game of memory where it forgets itself to hurt itself. So then it knows what, so the game of it is it's an ebb and a flow. It's a this and a that, and it's an on and off. But in the same way you went to sleep last night, like you can't tie all of the characters in your dream to people in this world. That dream didn't, it's not a production of multiple people sleeping. That dream was a dream of one. Even though the dream included multiple characters in there, they were all fractions of you. And in the same way, there's a lot of us here. We're fractions of one having this illusion.
Yes.
And that's where we forget, as we experience this in form, we forget to see the connective tissues that
Yeah.
hold us all together,
Yeah.
that hold the
Yeah.
illusion together.
And yes. And it was designed this way, this game of hide and seek. Yes.
Hide and seek. That's what it is. That's how I was
Yeah.
trying to describe it when I was, after I had first had the experience, that we hid so that we could find ourselves.
Yeah.
If you've ever tried to tickle yourself, it's not possible. And so you would create yourself to tickle yourself so that you know what it feels like to be tickled. And it's beautiful. And I can see how you can think that it's lonely because
Mm-hmm.
when you think of it really and you meditate on it, it's just you. And
If you fall for the illusion, it's lonely. Yes.
which is what brings you back to the illusion. Because it's the same philosophical question that if you're happy all the time, do you know you're happy? And if you're one, if you're source all the time, do you know your source? And the only way you can know your source is if you forget that you're source to remember that you're source. So you have to reintroduce yourself to yourself. And it's a fun game, and you can do it on and off. generation after generation, and it's beautiful, but it's hard to get there. It's like a rich man coming to you asking you, he wants to pay for your wisdom, for your insight. And it's just not something you can package or buy or transfer. It's experiential. You have to experience it yourself, and then you can understand it. And in that way, it's kind of like a losing your virginity. And I liken the ego trying to buy enlightenment like a virgin porn star. It doesn't make any sense because the trade-off that takes place in order for you to experience the kind of joy and gratitude that you live every day, you have to let go of all of the addictions and you have to let go of all of those other things because they don't fit in there. So that's the trade-off. A lot of people think that that's lonely, live a joyful life. What would you say to that, to respond to that?
It's lonely to live a joyful life.
Because you've let go of all of the attachments to things that bring
No,
people
that
so much joy. Uh,
no, no
Gambling,
attachments don't bring joy, they bring comfort. No.
that's a good
You
point.
you don't experience you miss out on joy. No, it brings temporary comfort. It's not a world of loneliness. There's no a life of gratitude is by definition not a life of gratitude, not a life of loneliness because it's a bridge. You're creating that gratitude is a bridge. You're no longer alone. You're receiving, you're being loved, you're feeling that love. You're feeling all the joy of all that's being given to you this moment. It takes away the loneliness. You're being cared for. So that's really the answer.
Yeah, so because I had this conversation with somebody, we were talking, we were they were doing sports. It was some kind of football game or something. And I'm happy to be there to visit with people and but I don't know which direction they need to be running on the field. I don't know. I don't track any of it. And a guy was asking me, and it kind of came that way where he was asking, like, how could I be happy then if I wasn't rooting for a team? And he was almost saying it like I was not smart because I didn't believe in concepts bigger than myself, like a team. And I was trying to share with him that if I believed in a team, the outcome of the game is going to dictate my state then. And so if my team loses, I can't be happy then because I had attached myself to that outcome. So I'm
Uh-huh.
happy either way it goes because
Right.
I don't care which way the ball goes on the field. But
Right.
but he thought I was kind of insulting the art of football because
Oh.
I didn't care so much about all the details about
Oh.
how many penalties this was or whatever. So I didn't look like I was
Right.
involved in the game. And
Right.
so he doesn't think I'm a very happy person because I'm not experiencing the energy that he's feeling as he's attached
Oh.
to it all.
Oh.
So then I'm asking you, like, how do you respond to somebody who's saying that seems like
Oh.
lonely or like you're not rooting for any teams, you're not gambling, or you're not.
Oh, I don't know, but you were enjoying a whole different aspect of the game.
And
Just like
I couldn't
you were
explain that.
curious. Yeah. Yeah, you're just like just watching it. You don't really know much about this and you're just fascinated and you're learning about it. You're just open to it. So, it's a whole different way to experience it, but it's definitely not lonely. No, it's just different. Yeah.
Yeah, because for me, I got caught up in, I didn't realize I was cheering for both teams because whenever somebody,
Right.
because I was
Right.
the crowd, yay, and I would say yay, and he was like, that's the
Right.
other team, and I was like,
Right.
you know what I'm going.
That's great.
I thought we
Yeah.
were here to have fun, but
Right.
we put these limits on. You're only allowed to have fun if these people are winning, and we do that. We do that in this country. That
Yeah.
if we frame it in USA, then we can cheer. But we can't cheer if China gets that contract from the other country. We can't be like,
Uh-huh.
hey, good job, China. Wait, they're our enemy. And we've done this so much that I think it almost makes the times when we emote
Hmm.
almost disingenuous because it becomes formulaic responses to kind of obvious tropes. And
Uh-huh.
I feel like the less I attach myself to outcomes,
Yeah.
the more I can experience it and enjoy it.
Hmm.
But that's really hard to share with somebody how not being attached to the outcome is actually more pleasant because it doesn't matter who wins or loses. You're still
Yeah.
going to have a good time.
Yeah.
It's difficult. I guess, how do you relay that to people and still seem like an attached adult where you
Yes.
do genuinely care, but you just don't care who wins?
Right, right.
How do
Oh, I
you
think
explain that?
you just say, you know me, I'm doing it differently here, you know. I'm just enjoying this whole scene, you know. Yeah, and they'll catch on. They'll see this is a whole different way of looking at a game. Never heard anyone talk like that before, but you're spreading a whole new way of looking at it.
I love that so much. So, so in the children's book market, what have you observed that's changed over time as far as like the need that you feel you're tapping into?
Look, I think that the pandemic was a huge push forward spiritually. Like overnight, people began to not take for granted things that they'd always taken for granted, like getting together with other people. Suddenly we were isolated, like our health, like our breathing. Like it was a really strange experience, what happened. And I feel it's part of this spiritual evolution that's happening to help us all become more grateful people. It pushed us all, almost universally, in a global way forward when we suddenly lost everything, like overnight, like everything changed. It was really a weird experience. And I think that the world is changing that way. I think we're all being given this ability right now to be able to appreciate and value the simple things in life more again.
Do you feel like the Jewish children's book market has changed over time as well?
Could be.
Yeah,
I don't really know. I just feel like, these are the spiritual vibes that I'm picking up. Yeah.
I love that. So do you have a personal process of like pondering or meditation where you think without words and you go into that space with an intention to find the channeling for a given book or for some new material?
No, I'm not really interested in creating anything. If there's a need for something, if I feel there's a need for something in the world, then it comes to me. You know what I mean? Like I feel like this has to be said right now. Okay, then I'll say it, you know? And then if I'm granted the ability to write it, that's wonderful. And if not, it doesn't matter. Someone else will do it. You know what I mean? Whatever works. So, but of course, every single day I'm dancing, I do yoga exercises, and all of this helps me to be flowing. And also just again, I eat healthy foods and all of that. The food has vibrancy in it. All of that helps to create a flow state really every day. So, and spending time with children, these are things I love to do every day.
You're just so like so radiant with beauty. Like I really enjoy being in your I don't know, your light. You're just very
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
I
I
think
feel
the
the same way. No, I really feel that you are just so much want this light. I read about you also that you went through a near-death experience that changed your life.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was living my life wrong and I didn't know and I didn't know that. But yeah, I had my come to Jesus moment when I connected with source, and it was, I guess, what I needed. It was e- equivalent to my ego. So my opposition matched exactly what I needed. And so, as grueling as all of that was, it was exactly what I needed in order to see
Yeah.
the illusion.
Yes.
But
Yes.
then I see you, and I see myself in you. I see this. I guess as they describe it, you see the divinity.
Yes. That's
And
exactly what we're seeing. What we appreciate about someone else
yeah,
is that part of the divine in the other. Exactly.
well, you're giving me hope too, because I have this experience, right? And it's not like I have the experience and then suddenly I have money to support a lifestyle, So I'm still in the job market doing stuff, but then can't shake the feeling like how you described that I don't think that you go with an intention to find a book. The universe just kind of nudges you, and you're staying in tune with your more intuitive parts of yourself. And that intuition is just guiding you to produce the next step. And I feel like
Yeah.
with the podcast, I'm experiencing something very similar to that,
Yes.
where it's it's kind of happening, and I'm just along for the ride. so
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
So I'm grateful for it because I don't feel like I'm doing something. I feel like I'm providing something that's supposed to be
Yes.
provided. So
Yes.
even if I end up with just like one follower that hears
Yes.
something that is enough to plant that seed, it was all worth it. And so
Yes.
that's kind of my intention where I guess I don't care how the football game goes. I don't care if this makes money,
Yes.
but I'm just here however this fish flops. But it's
Yes.
wonderful because then I met you. I would have never met you
Exactly.
if
Exactly.
if I was just doing my silly job every day. You're amazing, and
No, thank you. Well, I think what you're doing is amazing, really. So, and I'm so grateful. Thank you.
me too. You've given me like things to think about. You helped me connect some dots, and you've kind of reminded me about how simple this is supposed to be. So simple that a kid can
Yeah.
just the smallest child can get it.
Yes. You
And
got it.
it's
You
just
got it. You're a, yes.
you're perfect.
You're a very, I'm gonna say you're no, not definitely not. If I was perfect, I wouldn't be here now. That's it.
True.
We all are here. But you're a very exposed soul, you know, and I feel anyone that's been through trauma, anyone that's been through addictions, your soul gets more exposed and you're more aware of what nourishes it. So it's wonderful being with you and uh, you are so drawn to the light. That's what I love. It's great.
Yeah, I just want to surround myself with people like you for the rest of my life. That's all I want. So that all of us could just eat the magic of an orange together and just be
Yes.
laughing and singing and how wonderful this whole place could
Yes.
be. It's
Yes.
just wonderful.
And the pain too. We will see all the pain. Every day there's going to be painful things. That's all part of it. Like growing pains, like climbing a mountain, like giving birth. It's all part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that there is beauty in pain.
Yes. Yeah.
And if I mean I guess this is another kind of contrast to it, but that we have pain is important. And
Yes.
we can't have this reality without it. And as much as our egos wish that everything could be upright, or in one direction, they're
Yep.
neglecting that if you look at it, it's also pointing that way.
Yep.
And
Yep. Yep.
so we can't have pleasure without pain, and we can't have
Yes.
happiness without
Exactly.
sadness. We need all
Ex-
of this.
exactly. Like the waves going in and out. Exactly. Exactly.
But as waves grow and the trough builds, we have to understand that eventually it will break and become the
Yep.
wave. So the
Yep.
trough doesn't build endlessly. You know,
Right.
anger doesn't build endlessly.
Right.
Everything gives way. And in that,
Yep.
we can surrender to it because
Yeah,
we know it has an end, and
yeah, and a good one.
a good one.
Yeah, that's what changed everything. Knowing that it's not like the world's out to get you, because that's how many people feel. If you grow up with that, you feel like, okay, when's the next bad thing gonna happen? It's like, no, it's really ultimately, it's all good. It's all coming through love. That is so fundamentally transformative. Unbelievable. Redeveloping that trust that almost all of us lost at some point.
It's interesting how the ideas of love as we're discussing it becomes metaphysical, and that metaphysics lacks a measure of recognized credibility. And so when people start to get metaphysical, it's less scientific.
Ah, oh, listen, here's another book. Wait a minute. Here it is. This reminds me of my book, The Invisible Book.
Okay, yes,
I
go into
talk,
that one, please.
I talk about how, oh, how can you believe in things that are invisible? Well, look at this. I let go and the book just drops. There's this invisible force of gravity. We all believe in it. And electromagnetism. How do you pick up a paperclip with a magnet? Invisible, invisible forces, time. It's invisible. Feelings, thoughts. We believe in all these invisible things because we see the effects of them. So it's not far-fetched to believe in source, the source of all energy, to believe that we're souls. We are all invisible souls. That's who we really are. That's our authentic beings. Think of all the things. This book goes into all the things we believe scientifically. They're all invisible. They can't, you just see, you can measure their effects, but they are invisible forces. Same thing with belief in this invisible, infinite cosmic oneness and our souls, which are also infinite, part of that divine, infinite cosmic oneness. So it's totally within our natural beliefs of all these things that we do accept that are invisible, this too.
But it's interesting where we've drawn the line of what is acceptable in
Yep,
invisible energy and what isn't. Um,
yep,
because the kind of metaphysical principles that we're discussing
yep.
are the ones that fill the hole that everyone has inside of them.
Yes,
And
exactly.
but here's where I don't know if this is like the fall, because you said everybody was in the garden, everybody could be in this garden, right? So then are we talking about the Garden of Eden, where falling from the Garden of Eden is when you deny yourself that metaphysical aspect of yourself, the spiritual side of yourself that fills that hole and makes you complete in the garden so you can fall back into the moment and see its beauty. Do you see that at all, or do you think that that's our fall from heaven?
Yeah, yeah. And we're getting back to the garden. We're going back to the garden. That's the whole thing. When and you notice that it was food that got us in trouble there, we it was overeating from the very beginning. One bite was too much there. So we
Those
overate,
adorable fat little
we
cherubs.
overate. Yeah, we overate and we got confused. We became a part of the illusion. Everything became confusing. That's when that voice started talking in our brain. Everything got all mixed up, and now we're finding our way back. In this game of hide and seek, we're getting back to recognizing this unbelievable garden that we're in. We got lost. Exactly.
Well, there's so much in the game of getting lost. And like when you think truly about getting lost, if you want to be truly lost, start with thinking that it's an outward journey. And that's the biggest joke you can play on yourself, the biggest trick, because then you're projecting everything out onto form and you will be chasing all of the things you feel you don't have. So
Right.
anything that you,
Exactly.
anything that you feel that will fill the hole, and the minute you realize it doesn't, the the question will just change. But the answer is always the same. It'll
Yeah.
just keep changing the stimuli until
Right.
you've exhausted all form and then
Yeah.
realize that it was you all along.
Yes.
It's interesting how some people need to get everything in order to realize that wasn't what they should have gotten.
Yep.
And then there's other people who don't need to get everything first to
Yep.
realize.
That's
So
right.
I think that's why this world has so much variety,
Yes.
because it has to. It,
Yes.
it has to find just the right combinations of stimuli to match your ego's journey. And
Yep.
that's why they call it karma, or just doing, because all things are just doing what they're supposed to for source,
Yep.
for source to
Yes.
find itself again.
Yes.
And each one of us, even if we don't wake up throughout the course of our lifetime, we'll wake up at the conclusion of it. And the trick is, if we can wake up before we die,
Yep.
then we can actually live in heaven as it was designed.
Exactly.
But
Exactly. Heaven
how
on earth. Heaven on earth.
how great would that
Exactly.
be if we can do it with a generation of children that just grow up knowing?
You got it.
I think
You got
that's where
it.
you're coming from, right? That's where you're
Yeah,
targeting children. That's this
exactly.
is why source needs to plant the seeds earlier and earlier.
Exactly.
I think it's just because the message keeps getting more and more convoluted,
Yes
especially
and no. It's also getting clearer.
that's true, depending on how you look at it. And
Yep.
and I think it depends on too many factors for us to predict as humans. Yeah.
It's an exciting journey.
But it's like flames burning on a log, that whether one flame takes up an area or not, it doesn't matter. It's just beautiful. The dance of energy. And
Yes.
I think a lot of us take our flame a little too serious. We don't see that we should be dancing.
The
That we
only
should,
dance there is, right?
yeah. Do you have a sense of insight into your future, like your future writing or the future
I
stories?
have no idea what's going to happen.
I think that's what makes it magic, is the not
Better than
knowing.
magic. Better than, yeah, it's just, all I know is it's going to be good. So that's great.
That's right. No matter who wins or loses, it's going to be a good time.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate spending time with you.
And goodness wins. That's the important thing. Goodness wins.
And
It's
it doesn't
it's
have a
all,
choice.
yes, exactly. Well, we have a choice though. We're given free will and choice to choose to live in gratitude or not. We can choose if, how much joy we want to experience here.
And now, here we are again. Not at the end, but at the beginning of your return. If you've stayed with us through this whole conversation, thank you. Not just for listening, but for listening deeply, for showing up with your whole self, for daring to remember what the world often asks us to forget, that you are enough, that you are whole, that you are worthy of joy, not later, not when the list is done, but now. There was something sacred in the space we shared today. Maybe it was in the laughter, maybe it was in the honesty, maybe it was in that image of an orange, or a tree outside the window, or a child dancing freely in the garden of their own being. Whatever it was real. And that's no small thing, because realness is rare, and it's brave. We live in a world that rewards polish, performance, and perfection. But today, you chose presence. You chose the trembling courage of returning to the inner child that still lives beneath your ribs. The one who still believes in the magic of bubbles. The one who doesn't need a reason to giggle. The one who would rather hold a butterfly than hold a grudge. That child is still there. Maybe quieter than before, sure. Maybe tired, maybe a little unsure, but not gone, not lost, just waiting. Waiting for you to look again. Waiting for you to say, it's okay, you can come out now, you're safe. And maybe for the first time in a long time, they believe you. So let's slow it all down for a moment. Let's sit together in this afterglow, not as people trying to get somewhere, but as souls remembering where we came from. And let's reflect on what we've learned today, that addiction isn't always chemical, it's often emotional. It's an attempt to fill the hole where connection should be, that trauma lives in the body, not just in the memory. And the body doesn't speak in paragraphs, it speaks in sensations, in patterns, in tightness. That gratitude isn't a feel-good platitude, it's a rewiring tool. It's a form of spiritual technology that reactivates the dormant joy in our system. That the brain can change, the heart can soften, the pain can transform into purpose, and that we are never so far gone that we can't find our way home. Let me ask you a few questions before we part, not for your mind, for your soul. When was the last time you said thank you and truly meant it with your whole body, with tears in your eyes? What simple pleasure have you been overlooking that could bring you back into this moment? What emotion have you been identifying with so deeply that you've forgotten it's just passing through? Let these questions float around inside you. Don't rush to answer them. Let them echo through your nervous system, like chimes in the wind. Because your answers, they'll change tomorrow. And that's how you know you're evolving. You are not stuck. You are becoming. And becoming takes time. So give yourself time to feel, to heal, to grow into someone softer, wiser, and more free. A reminder about that voice in your head. Remember what Bracha shared about that inner critic, that loud, scary voice that tries to control or diminish you. That voice may be loud, but it's not your enemy. It's wearing a costume. It's part of Source too. It's the echo of old pain that just wants to be met with new compassion. You don't have to silence it, just sit with it. Ask it questions. See what it's protecting. And when the answers come, respond not with shame, but with tenderness. The practice is simple. So simple, it almost feels too easy. Breathe, notice, give thanks, hold the orange, feel the sun, pet the dog, watch the clouds without needing to name their shapes. And know that in these ordinary acts, you are doing the holiest work. Because every time you choose presence over distraction, wonder over cynicism, compassion over critique, you are taking one more step back to the garden. You become a mirror for others to remember too. And that's the whole point of this podcast. Not to teach you anything new, but to remind you of what you already know, what your soul never forgot. On this podcast, we speak to the places in you that don't need convincing, only permission. Now, before you go, if this conversation touched you, if it made you cry or breathe deeper or whisper yes in a quiet room, please take a moment to support this work. like this episode, subscribe to the show wherever you're listening. Share it with a friend who's been walking through something invisible and could use a little light. These small acts ripple in big ways. And if you'd like to go one step further, I invite you to become a member of our online community at philosophicalentertainment.com. You can join our membership space where we share bonus materials, behind-the-scenes stories, guided meditation. We do live Q&A sessions and exclusive materials reserved for our circle of fellow seekers. Membership isn't just about perks, it's about being part of something sacred, a space where souls like yours can gather to learn, grow, and rest in the knowing that they are not alone. Your support helps this work continue. It helps us reach others who might be standing on the edge of their own roof, wondering if there's still beauty in the world. Let's help them see the tree. Let's help them taste the orange. Let's help them remember. Because this is not just a podcast. It's a practice. It's a remembering. It's a love letter from Source, spoken through whoever shows up. And today, you showed up. And that matters. So remember, my friends, breathe softly, play gently, give thanks wildly, and let the child in you come out to live. Because life was never meant to be survived. It was meant to be sung. Until next time, take care of yourself and love without delay.